Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman Super Fighting Robot. In the last part, we took out even more Robot Masters, and now we're heading after the final one, Trashman. Insert Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke here that I'm not clever enough to make, because frankly, that show deserves more than my comedy chops can give. It is the right way to make a show about assholes. And this particular stage has one of my favorite little details in the game. Despite just being the usual, not usual, overall very well themed junkyard theme stage. The main gimmick of that is these little trash blocks that are going to make up platforms over spikes and such. But a cool detail starting on this screen is that we're going to start seeing some gravestones. In fact, I think the first one's coming up right here. These gravestones actually have some significance for the developer, Mr. Weird Guy. You see, Super Fighting Robot wasn't their first attempt at a Mega Man fan game. The original attempts didn't end up going anywhere, but he did immortalize the Robot Masters from that game in the gravestones here. At least the portraits that he had ready for them. And I just find that really cool. It's a good way to remember sometimes things don't always work out, but sometimes if you move on to the next project because the first one's just not working out, sometimes things will just work out better. This stage is very much proponent of that thing I brought up back in part 1, particularly during Daggerman stage, I believe, where sometimes the game's audio balancing can be a bit all over the place, because if you destroy more than like one of the trash blocks at once, the sound effects start layering very rapidly, and that can get pretty loud. Either way, this is Battery Man as a mini-boss. He jumps all over the place, either shooting a little grenade with an explosion effect on the floor, or shooting just a spark shot forward. Battery Man's actually one of the Robot Masters from that prior project that just did not work out. And again, that's just really cool. I'm liking the look of the portraits, so I'm wondering if, in the case Mr. Weird Guy ever does end up making another game like this, because I know he did talk about making another game at some point, if some of their concepts would ever get brought back. And there's the secret disc for this stage. Take a guess how you get it. You just jump up there. You're probably going to want to have Soak Rain for this, because otherwise you're going to have trouble taking out the little garbage can enemies on top. I don't need to go out of my way to get these. I just feel better having them. Plus I like the sound effect that plays in this game whenever you grab an important item. Speaking of important items, there is the T for this stage, the letter, and also the last letter, period. We have now unlocked Beat. And Beat in this game is a little bit different than in other games where he shows up. Instead of being the usual chases after the enemy kind of deal, Beat in this game stays around Mega Man, but whenever he detects an enemy, fires a giant laser at them. Well, giant in that it's tall and about the width of Mega Man, but still, it's powerful. I don't think a boss is specifically ever weak against it, though it might still be useful against the final boss, as Beat tends to be in any of the games that he's in. But still. Either way, it's time for Trashman, Week 2 Cold Barrage, so get that out. Trashman likes to slide around like Mega Man himself does. After he slides once or twice, he'll generally throw out a little bit of a trash block, which will bounce around the screen quite a bit before it eventually explodes. And after that, his second attack is that he uses his own special weapon against us, where he makes a bunch of trash just circle all around you. The best way to take out this fight is to remember that Cold Barrage's fire also does damage, so if you need to place that in such a way that it damages the boss, make sure you do that. Ultimately, honestly, he might be one of the easier out of the 8 Robot Masters if you're looking for a good first choice, but that multi-trash block attack that we're about to get as the special weapon, I find very hard to dodge. And speaking of which, for beating him, we get the Trash Attack weapon, which the best way I can describe it is that it's Power Stone from Mega Man 5 if it was useful. You throw a lot of trash blocks out of you that just explode on contact and can hit enemies multiple times, and it also has a secondary jump effect to it. Well, you've beaten the rebellious robots, but we still can't locate Proto Man. We need to find him soon. Where could he be? Light! Can you hear me?
There you are, Dr. Light! Listen, I don't have much time.
Wily, what are you up to this time?
Calm down, Megaman. Why have you contacted us this time, Albert? It's Proto-Man! He's taken over my fortress! He's holding me hostage! I'm a prisoner in my own home!
Forget it, Wily. I can see right through your plan.
Okay, fine. Blah-ha-ha, I'm evil and want to rule the world, etc., etc. Look, can you just come and help me? We both want to stop Proto-Man, right? Let's put aside our differences for now. We can fight later. As reluctant as I am, he does have a point.
Who are you talking to in there, Wily? I know you couldn't possibly be trying to get my brother's help.
Here, I'm sending you the coordinates. Please, hurry. There's no time to...
Proto-Man.
Maybe he really was telling the truth this time.
Does it really matter? Proto-Man is there and needs to be stopped.
If anyone can take care of this, it's you, Rock. Good luck.
And with that, we have access to this game's castle, which is both a Wily and Proto-Man one, which is a very odd sentence. With that said, I love this castle. It's so good. Compared to the main 8 Robot Master stages, where the gimmicks are there but not exactly emphasized, the castle stages emphasize their gimmicks very much so, and this one has a very unique one off the start and has a unique enemy. These little landmines, whenever you get close to them or you shoot them, they'll explode 3 times, with each subsequent explosion getting much closer to you. You need to be a bit careful about them, take them out preemptively, otherwise you're going to take some hits you're probably not expecting. Magic Missile is going to be good to use here, though, just because so many things here are taken out in one shot anyway, that you're not going to have much chance of getting hit by everything else. We also have, you might see it on the top there, those little destroyed cannons. Some of them are not destroyed and will actively attack you with 3 exploding bullets. They're always in the same 3 arc there, where one's straight down and the other 2 are more to either side. But you're going to want to be careful about them because sometimes they start placing them in very precarious locations, to say the least, with the platforms beneath you. The best, I guess now I think about it, the gimmick of this stage is explosions, because they are everywhere. Now, something I've only briefly touched on is that this game does have that bonus fight menu, I believe, where you just get to, or is it special? One of the two, where you get to fight all the bosses, and you get ranked on them depending on how you fight them, using weaknesses, getting no hits, so on and so forth. But something I haven't mentioned is that there are exactly 5 completely unique bosses to that mode that you unlock by doing various things in the game. Now, I'm not going to say the names of all of them, but I definitely at least want to bring up their unlock conditions. For one of them, you just need to beat hard mode, and similarly, for the last one of them, you need to beat insane mode. The insane mode fight in particular is probably the most interesting fight in the game, just because it's so creative given the weapons it uses. For one of them, you need to have 1,000 screws in your reserve when you beat the game. That brings up a certain shovel fighter. For beating the game with 0 upgrades, you unlock a certain whip user, and you unlock a certain red magic user for beating the game with all upgrades, which is what I do during this very playthrough, even. I don't show off the fights just because they're such unique fights that I think experiencing them yourself is a very good thing to do. But if you want to watch them on YouTube without playing the game yourself, I do recommend you play the game. Rome Mithril did a basically 100% playthrough where he got everything done, and you can see it all there. I do just recommend subbing to the dude, though, because, frankly, the videos they do are just fantastic. Oh, God. Out of all the stages, this feels the most like everything else in the game, just because it's more or less them throwing a lot of the enemies we've seen throughout the game at you in more creative ways. It's Wily 2, I guess technically Proto-Man 2, both 2, because this is technically Wily's Castle, where things start getting a bit out there. With that said, time for the boss of the first stage, which is very familiar to Mega Man X2 players, the Anti-Mega Bulwark. This thing has spikes that I believe are instant kill, constantly closing in on you, and 3 eyes you need to open up and shoot. If the bulwark starts getting too close, you can just shoot at either one of the closed eyes just to push it back a little bit. Our targets are the 3 eyes which are constantly shooting at you, but each eye has a third of the health to it, and when you take out the eye, that's just no longer a target. The fight is honestly easy, and it's probably one of the easiest fights in the game to do with just the Mega Buster, though it is notable that the more eyes you destroy, the faster it does move towards you. And with that, we're on to Wily 2, which is a hectic stage, to put it lightly. While the theme of the first stage was explosions, this one is death. Because first off, we start with the spike drop, which is just always unsafe feeling. So, an interesting fact, this level actually took a couple different takes recording-wise just because things weren't working out. And on my practice take, I dodged that spike fall perfectly. Every subsequent playthrough, not so much. Here we see the main gimmick, which is kind of familiar to anyone who may have played DK64 or Donkey Kong Country 3. There is a reticule constantly following us and locking onto us and firing an explosive round. We need to be constantly on the move here, otherwise you're going to take some damage. And it's pretty high damage, I want to say. I want to say it does at least a fifth of your health. Magic Missile is going to be your best friend due to this, though, because otherwise you're going to be taking a lot of hits very quickly. To complicate matters even further is that there are a good amount of spikes throughout this stage, meaning that death is just always around you. If the spikes themselves don't kill you, the reticule hitting you into them probably will. Also, you may notice there was a disc there. That's how you can tell this level took me a couple takes, because I actually wasn't able to save the disc, technically. The thing is with the secret discs in this game is that they're not locked to your save file. If you unlock them in the game, you unlock them for every save file on the game. So my copy of the game, since I already had collected that one in a previous take of this level, was now just permanently collected. I mean, that's actually exactly why the first 2 discs we saw in the game were not obtainable for me, because I collected them when I was first playing the game, and I went after the discs just to see what they were like. Also, I love this song. This game's soundtrack isn't the most memorable Mega Man soundtrack out there, but the tracks are damn good all the same. It's kind of hard to judge Mega Man soundtracks, though, because they're the kind of tunes you sing while playing, and very few of them outside of the RPGs actively stick with you when you're not playing them. There's very few exceptions, even in the Mega Man Classic or X series, where they outright stick with me. And there's none of that in Legends. And that's coming from a guy who likes Legends a lot. I think the reason I ultimately like the Wily Castle / Proto Man Castle more than the main 8 stages, even though the main 8 stages are perfectly fine, is that the gimmicks feel just better implemented to how you play the stage. Because for the most part, let's look at the gimmicks. Like Zapman's, you jump. Soakman's, it's water level, there's not much different there. Coalman is fire that just slowly damages you. Very few of them outright mess with how you move otherwise. The Wily Castle feels much more implemented with how you play the game with its gimmicks. And there's just something to be said about using your gimmicks well with the game's actual platforming, rather than just making it a pure obstacle. Sometimes maybe there's a way to use it in your advantage, so on and so forth. But we're already at the boss fight. The Wily stages aren't exactly the longest thing. I think they're actually shorter than anything else in the game, technically. But it's time for the boss, who's weak against Trash Attack. This is the UFO, the Unrelenting Force Obliterator. This guy's going to be circling around the arena on the right while having the reticule from the stage follow us while doing all of his other attacks. He can drop some little minions on the floor that'll roll around. He has a giant laser he shoots out of his mouth, which will generally take up the top half of the screen, and a spread shot type attack that'll just go all over the place. That boss is hectic, but it's easy. If you have the HP and the Trash Attack ammo, you can just purely Pyrrhic fight the boss and you'll be completely fine. But off screen between that stage, I actually reloaded to the menu and went back to the stage select so I could actually stock up on some stuff namely getting the Mega Helmet, as well as just some extra lives and E-Tanks along the way, just so I can have them for everything else. The Mega Helmet itself, it increases the chances of you finding any items from enemy drops. As well, you'll survive a hit that would normally kill you with 1 hit point. So let's say you had 3 hit points, but the damage did 4 total, or you hit someone that does 4 damage, you'll still survive with 1. But with that, we also now have a bonus. For having all 4 upgrades, you actually get a 100% bonus to all pieces of the armor. For the helmet, the potency of your life and weapon capsules that are dropped by enemies is increased by 50%. The charge, the buster, you can now shoot shots more rapidly. You have maybe 5 now. Uncharged shots pierce any given shields, and they double the speed of multi-hit attacks. For the armor, when you take damage, your invincibility frames are extended by 50%. So now you have 1.5 times as much time. And the boots is potentially the most broken out of all of them, even compared to the buster. Your spike damage is now quartered, so it takes 4 spike hits to kill you. And you bounce out of bottomless pits, making instant death outside of crushing, which doesn't even really a thing now that I think about it in this game, a non-issue. Some people would argue for the game that it's much just more fun to not get any of the upgrades, or at least get only 3 of them and just leave the 4th one be, because those can actually kind of break the game, the 100% bonuses. To them, I say, why not? It's fun. And Wily 3 is a return of the Force Lasers from Mega Man 2. However, at least with my current setup, they actually don't instant kill you. They just do damage per frame that you're in them, which means their damage builds up very quickly, but you can still escape them. Though I'm actually not certain of this. I think that actually is because I have the boots upgrade. I think these and the fire back to Coleman stage might actually be instant kill if you don't have those, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head because sometimes my memory capacity just kind of goes over full and I don't know what to do with myself then for about 4 minutes. And something you also may be able to notice during the UFO boss fight is that each of the castle stage bosses, they have the same boss theme, but they have a unique version of that entirely dependent on the boss fight. After the intro sequence, they have completely different instrumentals and just instruments playing the music, and that's just cool. I kind of wish more games did that with their final boss castles like this, just because when you're this close to the end of any game, I feel like a unique boss theme is often needed just to make it feel more important. RPGs kind of have that because, like, for instance, Final Fantasies have those unique boss themes that are only played in certain instances, like the Seymour boss themes. But I feel even more platformers need that. Also, despite what it looks like, these glass tiles I'm standing on, they are not ice physics. What they are, as you can see right there, are just designed to show you where, technically speaking, any force laser can pass through. They're meant to be lenses more than anything. And I appreciate that because it at least gives an idea in the case you're not paying attention or you're bad with that kind of spatial awareness that, okay, I shouldn't be around there because I'm probably going to die otherwise, and that's no good. Other Sonic Says quotes here, even though really, that's no good's like the only, like, notable Sonic Says quote. Mind you, it's also the only one I can remember from watching frickin' AOSTH as a kid. Because I did watch that a lot. I want to say it was on, like, Toon Disney or something at the time. I actually forget what network it was on. But I watched it. I remember this one kid who used to bully me in kindergarten said, "Oh, you're a Sonic fan? Okay, we can be cool." There's something refreshing to an extent about how shallow kids can be, because you don't see that in adults. It's almost kind of charming. And then you realize that kids are also little terrors sometimes, then you go, you know what, no, I'm fine. Oh god. Not gonna lie, still seeing force lasers just approach me is scary because I have a lot of bad memories of Quickman stage. With that, we're on to the boss fight of this stage, who is weak against the Flash Dagger, so get that out. Boss of this stage is Splashmo Prime. This thing's gonna be firing out several types of projectiles in several different directions. It has bubbles that cycle around like a shield, orange lasers that bounce around the room a couple times before leaving, and a third kind of projectile, I believe, that does the exact same thing but differently? Yeah, they have one that can freeze you and just go straight down. I think that's every attack it has, though. Arguably the easiest boss in the castle, though. Just because, since it's staying in one place, it's constantly open for attacks, so you don't have to worry about a damn thing. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we're going to go take this fight right to Proto Man. See you guys then.